March 23, 2005. 1:20 p.m. A geyser of flammable liquid erupts from a 113-foot tower at the BP Texas City Refinery, raining gasoline onto everything below. Within seconds, a white vapor cloud spreads across the facility. 15 people are eating lunch in nearby trailers. They have no idea what's about to happen. The explosion, when it comes, registers on seismographs 11 miles away. It kills 15 workers instantly and injures another 180. But here's what makes this different from every other refinery accident: BP knew it was coming. Not this specific explosion, but something like it. They'd been warned for years. Internal documents would later reveal over 300 safety violations in the 18 months before the blast. Workers had nicknamed certain units death traps. One engineer had written that the refinery was a ticking time bomb. Corporate leadership ignored them all. This is the story of how cost-cutting at the highest levels turned America's third-largest refinery into a killing field, and why it took 15 deaths to finally force change in an industry that had grown comfortable with risk. The BP Texas City Refinery sprawls across 1,200 acres on the Gulf Coast, 40 miles southeast of Houston. Built in 1934, it's a city unto itself, processing 460,000 barrels of crude oil every single day, turning black sludge into gasoline for American cars. By 2005, it's one of the largest and oldest refineries in the United States. The isomerization unit, the ISOM unit, workers call it, sits at the heart of the complex. This is where low-octane gasoline gets transformed into high-octane fuel through a chemical process involving superheated hydrocarbons and catalyst reactions at extreme pressures. The unit contains a raffinate splitter tower, a 170-foot tall distillation column that separates different hydrocarbon compounds. At the top sits a blowdown drum, a safety release system designed to vent excess pressure during startups. It's old technology, installed in the 1950s. Most modern refineries phased out these atmospheric venting systems decades ago, replacing them with closed flare systems that burn off vapor safely. Not Texas City. The equipment is ancient. The maintenance budget has been slashed repeatedly. BP acquired the refinery from Amoco in 1998, and immediately the focus shifted from safety to profit margins. The workers know the score. They see the aging equipment. They file the reports. They watch as nothing changes. The warnings pile up like a paper trail of negligence. In 2004 alone, the Texas City Refinery records safety violations at a rate 5 times higher than the industry average. A 2002 internal audit identifies that the site has not been a top priority for corporate capital investment. Translation: BP headquarters in London is starving the facility of money needed for critical upgrades. The blowdown drum system, the one that will fail catastrophically in 13 months, gets flagged specifically. Engineers recommend replacing it with a modern flare system. Estimated cost, $150,000. The request is denied. In January 2005, just 2 months before the disaster, another startup of the ISOM unit goes wrong. Alarms blare. Operators scramble. They barely avoid catastrophe. The near miss gets reported up the chain. Nothing changes. The day before the explosion, the ISOM unit shuts down for routine maintenance. On the morning of March 23, workers begin the restart sequence, a delicate 15-hour process of heating the tower, building pressure, introducing feedstock. But the crew working that day is understaffed. The lead operator has been on shift for 12 hours straight when the startup begins. The supervisor is overseeing multiple units simultaneously. The control room is understaffed by design, another cost-cutting measure. At 11 a.m., the raffinate splitter tower begins filling with liquid hydrocarbon. The level should stabilize at 9 feet. It doesn't. The tower keeps filling. By 12:40 p.m., liquid hydrocarbon reaches 28 feet inside the column, 3 times higher than safe. Operating levels. Alarms should be screaming. The high-level alarm, which should trigger at 8 feet, never sounds. It's been malfunctioning for weeks. Nobody fixed it. In the control room, the board operator watches his screens, unaware that his instruments are lying to him. The level transmitter maxes out at 9 feet, so even though the tower is dangerously overfilled, his display shows everything is normal. At 1:14 p.m., the relief valves open. They have to, the pressure is building toward catastrophic levels. Except there's a problem: when you overfill a distillation column by this much, what comes out isn't vapor. It's liquid. Gallons of it. The liquid hydrocarbon roars up the pipes and into the blowdown drum, which was designed to handle gas, not a tidal wave of flammable chemicals. The drum floods instantly. At 1:20 p.m., a geyser of gasoline and hydrocarbon erupts from the top of the blowdown stack, shooting liquid 200 feet into the air. It rains down across the plant. The vapor cloud forms immediately, an invisible, ground-hugging monster made of hydrocarbon gas and air, spreading in every direction. Workers see it coming, but there's nowhere to run. In the temporary trailers near the base of the tower, 15 people are finishing their lunch break. The vapor cloud reaches an idling diesel pickup truck. One spark from the engine. The explosion levels everything within 100 yards. The blast wave shatters windows in homes half a mile away. The trailers, supposedly outside the blast zone according to BP's own safety maps, are obliterated. Steel beams twist like paper clips. Bodies are found 70 feet from where the trailers stood. 14 workers die at the scene. The 15th dies in the hospital weeks later from burns covering 90% of his body. The dead are mostly contractors, not BP employees. That detail will become important later. The injured tell stories of chaos, of burning co-workers, of desperate attempts to escape, of hearing the screams. The Chemical Safety Board launches an investigation within hours. What they uncover is damning. The raffinate splitter had been filled to dangerous levels at least 8 times in the previous 10 years, and each time, operators barely prevented disaster. BP's own internal investigation in 2002 had warned that significant potential exists for a major site incident. A 2004 audit found that maintenance backlogs were significant and getting worse. The company's response? They cut the maintenance budget by another 25%. Text messages between supervisors show casual disregard for safety protocols. One manager jokes about running the unit on a prayer. The families of the dead file wrong suits. During discovery, BP's lawyers fight to keep internal documents sealed. When a judge forces their release, the picture gets worse. BP had a policy of capping injury payouts to avoid bad publicity. They'd been tracking recordable incidents obsessively while ignoring the systemic failures that led to them. One email from a BP executive refers to Texas City workers as resistant to change, corporate speak for, they kept complaining about safety. The Chemical Safety Board's final report, released in 2007, is devastating. They conclude that BP's corporate culture did not adequately emphasize process safety. That's bureaucratic language for something much darker. BP's leadership prioritized profits over human lives, systematically and knowingly. The report reveals that BP's focus on personal safety metrics, slips, trips, falls, created an illusion of safety while catastrophic risks went unaddressed. You could have a perfect record of workers wearing hard hats while the entire plant was one malfunction away from exploding. The recommendations are sweeping: require companies to audit process safety independently, mandate safer blowdown systems, increase regulatory oversight of aging facilities. OSHA hits BP with a $21 million fine, the largest in the agency's history at that time. BP eventually pays $1.6 billion to settle criminal charges and lawsuits. But the real changes run deeper. The disaster forces the entire petrochemical industry to confront what it had been ignoring, that squeezing profit margins by deferring maintenance and understaffing facilities creates catastrophic risk. New standards emerge for process safety management. The concept of safety culture, once dismissed as soft corporate speak, becomes quantifiable, auditable, enforceable. Refineries across America begin replacing atmospheric blowdown systems. But Texas City isn't BP's last disaster. 4 years later, the Deepwater Horizon explodes in the Gulf of Mexico, killing 11 more workers. The same corporate culture. The same cost-cutting. The same deadly results. The Texas City explosion revealed an uncomfortable truth: in heavy industry, safety isn't about hard hats and safety meetings. It's about whether the people at the top are willing to spend money fixing problems they can't see from their corporate offices. 15 people died because a $150,000 upgrade was denied. That's the real cost of cutting corners. Their names are carved into a memorial at the refinery, a permanent reminder that every engineering system is only as safe as the culture that maintains it.